All right, everybody, we are sitting over here with yet another one of the creators that I watch all the time, Tyler and Natalia.
Hello.
And they are with Independence Overland.
Yes, sir.
For the people who don't know about your channel, how would you describe it?
I would say the main thing that we're after is cinematic adventure travel stuff, but they take so long to edit that we throw in some reviews and stuff in there too. Yep.
What got you started in the overlanding or off-road?
You know, it all goes back to my dad used to have an FJ40 back when I was a kid, and we used to go down South Padre and we would go out there and catch sharks and stuff. And so I have memories of that kind of thing from being a kid. And then flash forward, going through like high school and all that stuff, you know, you're interested in different things. And then I spent so much time in the outdoors that eventually I got the FJ Cruiser, and it was a purposeful, I need to get back outside. You know, I'm leaving this whole kid life behind, and I wanted to be outside and doing what I was doing with my dad as a younger kid. So anyway, that's how I got into it. Is like, it's time to get into the 4-wheel drive.
Now, were you into it, or did he get you into it?
Well, I grew up camping. My family's huge campers. We camped every single moment we could in Washington. Anytime it was sunny, my mom would...
So about 4 times a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And anytime it was sunny, my mom would pull us out of school and be like, it's too beautiful. Like, we're going into the mountains. So I always had a affinity for the outdoors, and I never got to really drive truly off-road until I met him. But it was instant love for both.
Yeah. We both met with that, or like met in the middle with that, you know.
Yeah.
It was like she was used to this outdoor thing, I was used to the outdoor thing, and then the truck was more and more, and as we got braver and braver, you know, it just became our thing.
Yeah.
Well, my wife was always into hiking and doing that type of outdoor stuff. Our first date, we did Red Elephant Hill to Billmore Lake.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, I need to show you what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm filming it and narrating it along the way. And we get to the top and she looks at me and she goes, I'm in.
Cool.
And I'm like, all right.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
that's
sweet.
We've been together ever since.
That's awesome.
And at some point it was, okay, honey, you need to either learn to fly the drone or learn to drive the Jeep. She's like, I'll never fly the drone. But now she does about 70% of the driving.
Yep, same. Yep, Natalie is behind the wheel.
You got to do the filming.
Yep. Yeah.
I do want to get my drone's pilot license
Yeah.
so that we can switch off more, because I know that sometimes he gets sad he can't be driving some of the trails.
Yeah. She's done more off-roading in the video, or definitely more in the videos, but you've done more obstacles than I have, definitely. But I've done a few of the hardest obstacles, I think, or more of the hardest obstacles.
If it's a really hard one,
and I'm just like, okay, this is...
he'll take over either because he
something
wants
crazy.
to or because I want him to.
Yeah.
Like that really, really deep river crossing we did in
Arkansas.
Arkansas. I was like, all right, you can do this, because I don't want to...
It looked a little sketchy.
Yeah, it was sketchy. Yep. Need
I
that
didn't
right
wanna be,
speed for
like,
the bow wave and stuff.
in charge of messing up the vehicle.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite type of thing to go see? Is it more scenic? Is it more technical? What's your favorite?
So for me, I think definitely scenic. I'm looking for campsites. I'll get into those types of trails when we have to. I'm not a person that's out to look to flex out my truck. If it's a dirt road, I'm fine with that, and I'm not disappointed with that. For video's sake, you know, we're looking for something a little more interesting. But my ideal thing is I'll find something on like Google Earth or on Onyx Off-Road or something like that. I'm trying to get to that spot and whatever I got to do to get there, sort of a thing. So if it's a challenging thing, we're going to do it. But that's the most, I think that wraps it up for me as far as what I'm looking to get to. It's just whatever's necessary, what's in between me and that, and we'll get there.
Okay.
It's like we want to get somewhere that creates that sense of awe for us to be inspired by, to get recharged from like the outdoors, and the serenity you get when you're just out in the middle of nowhere, no one to be seen, and it was hard to get up there.
Yeah.
That's our recharge.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, you do some solo stuff, you do some stuff together. How is it different in terms of planning and logistics when there's two of you versus when you're by yourself?
The main difference let's see. It's harder to film for sure. I'm doing a lot more running around. That's a definite thing because it's just like I'm gonna go up here, I get on the radio. All right, I'm ready. She drives through. But when I'm by myself, you're running up there, setting it up, running back, driving through, getting out. You know the process. And so as far as logistics go, when I go by myself, I'll usually it's almost always, I guess, I want to get to that spot, but I'm usually not as brave. I'll do some research, and if it requires winching to get to, I'm probably not going to do that on my own as often. I've done it, but it just doesn't seem safe. And the older you get, you're just like, I probably shouldn't be taking these risks on my own. So so as far as that goes, I usually I don't know. I would say they're a little less planned when it's just me, because I'm just kind of going on a whim, and whatever we're looking for is this or that. And then whenever it's two of us, I'm usually planning more of a long trip for those types of things when we're heading out. So I would say there's more planning that goes into it when she goes along, just because we're working together and we're trying to not only have an awesome trip, but make some awesome content out of it. And then by myself, I'm just hoping for the best. It's just kind of a simple, it's Friday night, I decided I'm going out sort of a thing. And here's a spot I've been wanting to check out. It's that sort of a deal.
Who does the planning? You do the planning?
Yeah.
You do the planning?
He does the planning.
Yeah.
So what's your job?
My job is driving.
Okay.
Driving and homemaking once we get to camp.
Yeah.
I like to make it cozy. I like to make everything look nice, and just for my own aesthetics.
And she is a professional trained photographer, we got to
Yeah.
add. So when you see really pretty photos in our videos, those are her.
That's not you.
I'm all right with the video stuff, but photos, we've had the same exact camera before. She takes photos that I look at, and I'm like, I do not understand how you took this. Same camera at the same time, mine are not anywhere close.
Have you done any solo trips yet?
I have, but they weren't on camera. I only did one. It was with my friend Amanda.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. And I want to do more. And now that we're going to have two vehicles, it'll be easier, because a lot of times it was like hard to find the right scheduled time where he didn't need the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I had the time to go. I'd like to do a female trip, but I need to get my drone pilot license.
Yeah.
Because can't go without a drone.
No.
And she is a very adventurous person, a very independent person when it comes to travel. I mean, she's gone to Egypt by herself. She's been to, what was the most recent one?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, yeah, by herself. She's been all over the world, and she's done a lot of that on her own, because anyway, she's very adventurous. It's just as far as the 4-wheel drive stuff, she hasn't gotten into that yet on her own.
So what got you to do a YouTube video or YouTube channel?
So, yeah, I've made videos since I was in high school. I remember our broken camcorder when we were kids. I took that thing apart. I was like, Dad, can I disassemble this? He's like, yeah, man. He thought it was cool that I was trying to find out how things worked. I was always into cameras, always into movies, of course, as every kid is. And then in high school, I'd be making videos, but I never shared them with anybody. And
Is that a good thing?
yeah, I mean, it was good that I got practice and stuff, I was a video editor, and I would make videos on my own. And I've told people about this, that I would set up a pulley with a piece of paracord, and I would put the GoPro on it, and I would drive under it as it was going. It was simulating a drone shot. This is back before drones were a thing. And the only people that saw it was like maybe her and a couple buddies or something. It's mostly for me, but I never shared it with anybody. And then along the way, I got some motivation during COVID. I had another YouTuber reach out because of a video we put out that was an AluCab competition. And he was like, you need to pursue this more. And I started to look into it as like a serious side business. And I wanted to build a new truck. And so I knew I needed another source of income. I wanted to find a way for this hobby to pay for itself, because as you know, it is very expensive.
It's not a cheap hobby.
Yeah. And I wanted to build something really cool. So I don't want to say it was about money, but it was the motivation I needed to get in front of the camera, because I've always had a hard time with that. Even when I was making these on my own, it was the truck under that paracord GoPro. It was never me talking to the camera much. I was always kind of scared of that.
So did you find it difficult to get in front of the camera and start
Yes.
doing the talking?
Yeah, I kind of felt, it still to this day makes me feel like a narcissist. I feel so weird. Then the new generation is on camera, and it's no big deal. And I watch those kids, and I'm just like, I don't have that. Whatever that is, I've gotten used to it now, but still walking down the thing, you'll see people talking to their camera. I still feel like such a doofus doing that. I have a hard time with that.
Matt's a natural at it.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
walks
yep,
around
there he is right there.
himself,
Yep, he's doing great. Yeah, sometimes I pull myself through, but I don't like doing it, so yeah.
What would you say is your biggest challenge? Let's start with your biggest challenge in off-roading and overlanding, and then what's your biggest challenge with YouTube?
Biggest challenge for off-roading and overlanding? That's a tough one.
I think for you, if I can, I'll
You may.
suggest
You
this,
may.
and then you let me know. It's getting enough time off of work to do all the trips you want to do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a big one.
Yeah, I do have a thing, like as we all do, but I there's so much, if I don't get out enough during the course of a year, and this is one of those years, it kind of stresses me out that I feel like a year of my life has slipped by and I didn't get to explore enough. And like, I really, like it causes stress for me. I'm just like, man, this was like a valuable time of my life. I need to be out enjoying this, you know? And so I think that is my biggest challenge, is like trying to find that fine balance of like doing this and coming to shows and meeting people and stuff. And then also doing my side of it where I'm out by myself or with her and enjoying what we got into this for in the first place.
You said earlier today that you want to do less events so that you have more time to do your own thing.
I did so many events this year, and part of it's because we had the truck coming and stuff. So I committed to a lot of different events because I knew people would want to see this. But next year, I think I'm just going to attend a few. That way we can show the truck off. And of course, I don't want to just completely cut these out, but at least for next year, I want to do way more traveling and less of these events, because it does eat up gas money, eats up time. And I still have a full-time job, plus it's about 50 hours a week. So getting away from that, I've only got so much limited time to take off. And so a lot of that got burned up going to expos. I love it. I love seeing these people. I love meeting vendors and hanging out, seeing all the cool stuff that I can't afford. I love it. But I need to be out there just doing stuff, seeing stuff.
And it's always nice when people walk up and like, yeah, I love your
Yeah,
channel.
it is cool.
You know, it's great.
These events motivate me big time.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, you see those negative comments, as I'm sure you've experienced too, and those will sometimes bring you down. And then when you run into the cool people here and they're just like, man, we love it so much. I love that you're putting this out. It really does motivate a lot. It's just like, all right, I'm ready to make these guys some new cool stuff this winter.
Yep, absolutely.
Very motivating.
So what's the biggest challenge with YouTube?
The biggest challenge with YouTube, I think, what is the biggest challenge? I guess for me, because of my full-time job, the biggest challenge for me with YouTube is just letting that thing try to figure out who I'm catering to. Because my channel goes through such phases. So anybody that's watching this, it's like, why are all of his trip videos coming out in the winter? They take so much time to edit.
When did you film this?
Yeah. And they'll be out of order sometimes and stuff. Like this year, the later summer stuff will come out because of this truck. I know people want to see this truck in action. But we went on tons of trips this year, or a few trips this year with the FJ. And so they're going to be all out of order and people get confused. But the gear review stuff takes less time to put out, and I can continuously put videos out for people to check out. And I'm filming on the weekends of these travel adventures. And so then in fall and winter, I've got tons of time. I'm not outside all weekend long, so I can actually sit down and edit those. Because my adventure videos, I usually have 40 or 50 hours of editing into those, and I'm very particular, and sometimes I need to take 2 weeks off because I'm like, I don't know, I know this is too boring, and there's not enough substance to this, so I'll step away from it, and then I'll go back to it. And so I will not force those out the door. Those are so important to me that I will take time off. If it takes me a month to be like, that's what I've been looking for. Something, I'll wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and I know where I'm going with that story. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. So they do take a little bit longer for me to put out. But that's my biggest challenge. I guess just time and editing because of the full-time job. At the end of the day, my biggest challenge in my life is my full-time job. Get in the way of all this.
What about challenges with taking a dog?
Oh,
There's a lot of challenges, and I've experienced
Is
a
this
lot
not a
of
small
that.
dog?
No, she's
65
not a
pounder.
small dog. There's a lot of challenges that we have ran into this summer. One, she was sick, so then I didn't get to participate in some of the biggest trips.
Yeah.
And then two, we are going on the White Room Trail in Utah.
Take the dog.
can't take the dog.
Take the dog. So like, and we really want her to be there, you know, she's part of the channel, she's part of our family. So that's frustrating. We do have to like cater around different places. There's a lot of trails in Utah, for instance, and a lot of national parks that could have trails, but we can't go on them because of the dog and such. But the normal day-to-day camping with a dog, It's actually so easy.
It's the best.
And she's like the best tent heater.
Yeah, she does her job.
Yep. We love
Yeah,
ours.
I carry.
We're filming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. We have a 1-year-old Bernie Doodle now,
Oh,
and
cute.
perfect little tent
Yeah.
heater.
Yeah,
for sure.
But we had plans for White Rim Trail, Maze District, and stuff, and we had lost our dog a couple of years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're like, when we get done with this series of trips that we want to do, then we'll start looking at a dog again, because it's national park, national park. And for those of you who don't know, can't take a dog into a national park. And White Rim Trail is in Canyonlands National Park. So it's one of those challenges when you have a pet or thinking about one. We had to put off getting one so that we could complete those trips.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so then you run into, like, in this case, we'll get somebody to stay at our house and take care of her and stuff. And then, of course, that adds expense and everything. But for day-to-day stuff, I mean, we've got it down pretty good. We know how to, she's stressed out. We do the CBD. I put a whole video out on it. We'll give her CBD. And then we know how to keep her calm, and like little things, like we've learned just tricks over time of how to keep that particular pup comfortable on these adventures.
Also really easy.
She's a pretty easy dog.
She's really easy. She just sleeps.
What's the worst thing that's happened on a trail?
The worst thing, we've actually had pretty good luck.
Well, that bolt popped, and
Oh, that is the worst thing that's happened on the show. Thank you. Okay, so this was
A good thing you're here to remind him of everything.
so the FJ has a diamond axle that I put in the back of that thing. I knew with the weight I was carrying, I needed an upgraded axle, so I've got a 9.5 inch. Anyway, I guess those details are not important, but so on my upper links on the rear of that, the bolts, I talked to Diamond Axle, and I know better. I work on trucks for a living. The bolts are flush. There aren't a few threads sticking past that. And I called them about it, and I was just like, we've never had a problem before. They're fine. So I reused the factory bolts, and we're out in the San Juans, and I forget what trail we were doing specifically.
Yankee.
Was it Yankee Boy? Yeah, so we're going up this really steep area that's kind of off the main trail. And so as we're going up, I could tell something in the back was a little bit off. And I was just like, something feels weird. I don't know what it is. And anyway, we get up to camp,
And it got real noisy.
oh yeah, it started making some racket. And then we get up there and my coil spring was in a C shape. And so my lowers were still there, but the uppers had disconnected. So my springs that are like an 800-pound spring are C shaped, and a couple more bumps and it was going to eject those springs out of the back.
Oh, man.
And so then it was like, how do I get this back in place? And it was ratchet straps, high lift jacks. It was all sorts of stuff.
Not zip ties.
Yeah, right. And my buddy was like, he's on a dirt bike. And so he's like, or had a dirt bike with him. So he's like, I'm going to go into town and get you some bolts. And he got me out of that. But I was stressing out, and that will never happen to me again. I can tell you that. I'm very careful with that, because if those springs would have come out, that would have been, I don't know what we would have done. It took everything in the shop to get those springs in place. And anyway, that was the worst thing.
We would have been hiking out. That's what we would have been doing.
Yeah, it would have been a stressful thing. A tow truck, I don't know what tow truck could have got up there. It would have been rough. But
Wow. That's,
yep,
that's
it was a close call. Yep.
What's your favorite place to go?
Mine's Telluride. I have such an affinity for that mountain range up there.
Yeah,
and,
it is
like,
pretty.
I think it's the most beautiful place in Colorado, and like it hits all the marks with the waterfalls and the beautiful scenery and these mountains that I personally call rainbow mountains. They just have all the colors in them, and it's beautiful. And then you get the green grasses and vistas. And
I think for me, the Canyonlands area of Utah, they're in the right time of the year, you know, the right season. But it has such an ancient feeling to it. Like when the sun's going down and you're just watching over the landscape, there's a very particular feeling I get there that I don't necessarily get in other places. Colorado's beautiful, of course, I love it, and and it's amazing. But there's something to me about overlooking that ancient landscape of sandstone that is really cool.
If you don't know about the Canyonlands, the way I've always explained it is, you know, the Grand Canyon. Everyone's seen the Grand Canyon. You do White Rim Trail and you're like, Grand Canyon,
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
And then you do the Maze District and you're like, White Rim, whatever. You know, it's that amazing of a place. Just, I mean, you got to like that type of scenery.
Right.
You know, if you're just a mountain person or you're just a beach person or a lake person, it's not for you.
Yeah.
But if you love that, just crazy terrain and red rock and sandstone and all that. It's mind blowing.
Absolutely.
It really is. It looks like a different planet. I always say it's like going to Mars.
Yep.
Yeah, it is well worth the trips out there.
Yep.
And White Rim we've done a few times. Maze District we did last year. Just incredible trips. I would say that's probably one of our favorites as well.
We're excited. We've never done White Rim.
Oh, it is
First time.
awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy that
Cool.
a
Very
lot.
excited.
So, what are your plans with the channel and off-roading and things?
Well, I'm about to go full time for myself, not necessarily like with the channel, but photography and everything. And so I would like to take on a lot more. He keeps telling me I don't need to, but I really want to decrease his stress level so that we can produce more with social media and the photos and stuff like that.
Her when she takes photos and she's got like the time to work all that stuff in, our thumbnails are so good. And when they're not, it's like a screenshot. I'm just like a screenshot of a clip, you know, and I'm just like, this is not what it should be. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that too, because her photos are just beautiful.
Yeah. And then I really want to organize a female only trip. Get that drone license. That's all I need.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my first thing.
Where do you see yourself going and the channel going?
I don't know. I would like to, my plan is to do, and we talked about this a little off camera, I would like to do bigger projects that I release maybe less often. And in the future, I've got an idea for a documentary kind of series. It'll involve the truck, but it would be less about the trucks, and it'd be more about going to these places. And of course, the footage would involve it, but I would like to get into a place where I can work on some of those projects in my future that aren't necessarily chasing algorithm stuff, but more based with working with potential partners and sponsors and stuff, so I can pull some of these projects off. Because I know I have the capability of editing those types of things, and it'd be really fun to see some of these things that are just interests that we have about specific topics. But that's the end goal. I have an idea for one, and I'm sure that'll spur into more. But right now I've got one big project that I'd really like to do as like kind of a bucket list thing. And I don't know when I'll be able to do that, but that's also partially like why I'm building this up. Something that's a little more livable, and we can carry more fuel, carry more water for this. It'll be a pretty big undertaking.
So we've mentioned this a couple times. You've had the FJ, which is iconic on your channel.
Yeah,
Blue
for sure.
FJ, right?
Yep.
And now you have this. Tell us about what are we sitting in front of here?
So this is the 2024 Tacoma Trailhunter, and I wanted it just for resale value, and there's a cool factor to it. It's an Overland truck on an Overland channel. I was complaining about Toyota not releasing something interesting for a long time, and now that they released this, it is a very interesting truck, at least in my opinion. I put 35s on it already. I haven't messed with the suspension. I haven't really had to do anything. I just bolted 35s to it, 15 minutes of modification, which was unbolting things, and it worked. And we took the rear seats out, so the dog's got her spot. And then, yeah, I'm gonna start tricking this thing out with camera gear and doing all that. This winter, it's gonna undergo a huge transformation, but I'm keeping that under wraps for now, unless you're at the Overland of America show. But
you get a sneak peek tonight?
Yep, for sure. But yeah, so right now it's just a pretty much stock trail hunter, and this is a very cool truck. It's so comfortable to drive. We love the FJ. We just needed more space. And 15, 16 years makes a big difference on technology and manufacturing and stuff. Reliability, yeah. It's got a lot of power. It's very comfortable. Just the little things, that seat ventilation and stuff. Come on, man. When she's cooking me over there, because she's just like, it's freezing, you know, and we all know it's 80 degrees in the truck. But she's just like, I need a blanket. I can turn that seat heat on and it saves me. Yeah, those little things for...
The little luxury items add up.
Yeah, they sure do.
It's not all about roughing it.
Right, yeah, not anymore. And when I was younger, but I've done plenty of that.
So you did talk about thumbnails and things. So for people who want to do their own channel, what are some suggestions or some tips that you would give for someone who wants to get started or grow a channel?
A lot of channels that are successful are better at thumbnails than I am, I gotta say. But they really emphasize like you got to spend like, we're talking like potentially hours on a thumbnail. Like that's the Marvel movies, for instance, they have cool movie posters that draw kids in, draw adults in and stuff. And it's an interesting thing that people see and they're like, I want to see that. You have to think like that to some extent. You don't want some boring, like if it's about the truck, you don't want the truck to be this big and the rest of the picture is this big. People need to instantly identify what's happening in this video. And it is a bit of a movie poster. And don't do clickbait, whatever you do. Yeah, do not mislead people, because then they'll click off right away and the algorithm sees that and they know something's wrong and it will not help your video. But yeah, I think the big thing is spend more time with your colors and stuff and making that thumbnail pop, and people are more likely to click on it. The text thing, you know, some people put text on it, some people don't. It's hard to know exactly what works best. And as you've seen, YouTube recently released the 3 thumbnail trial thing, which is very helpful. And another thing is show your face if you can. I don't do enough of that, but I did some research, and so humans have this thing where they identify with somebody's face, but they don't feel like they know that person until they've seen them 7 times. So if somebody scrolls through and they see your face, they might be like, I don't know who this is. Scroll past, go to some other Jeep video or whatever. After they've come across your videos at different times scrolling through and they see your face again, eventually they're like, okay, I know this guy. Let's check out who this is. And then they start building that relationship and stuff, that digital relationship. But that is very useful. And I've done those, and it does actually work pretty good.
Do you use tools like vidIQ and
Yes.
TubeBuddy?
Yeah, I use both actually.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah.
And vidIQ had a report that showed the click-through rate with and without faces. And even on ours, the ones with faces were way higher, and yet I never do it. And I'm like,
Right.
Yeah, I know, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's a struggle to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to be about me.
Right.
I want it to be about the adventure, but the data says otherwise.
Yeah. At the end of the day, and I mean, Brad from Trail Recon gave me that advice. He was like, just don't forget your channel's about you. He's like, people aren't there just to see your truck. They're there because they want to see you with your truck. And he had a lot of good advice, but that was one of those things. And I feel like a dork when I put my face on a thumbnail. I really do.
Same here.
Yeah, but it's like, I know it's beneficial. So when it fits, I do it. But obviously if I'm doing something, I got the new trailhunter, you know, I try to put the truck in there because that's what people are interested in. But whenever we're going on an adventure, if we can put our faces in it and the truck, then people are like, oh, it's those guys taking that truck to go do this, and they connect with it a little bit more, I think. But
Yeah.
such.
I would add that, like, everyone's got their unique perspective. Every single person. Nobody can do something exactly the same.
Yeah.
Even if they're completely emulating something. Like, everyone's got their unique perspective. So no matter what your channel is about, it is inevitably about you.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people start by emulating someone who's successful.
Yeah.
You know, well, that works, so I'm going to try that. But over time, you notice it's not working,
Yep.
and you either stop and don't do it anymore, or you find your voice. You find the niche that works for you.
Yeah.
Now, I think a good example of this is Half Moon Gulch.
Yep.
Now, Caleb put out a video on it. I put out a video on it like 2 weeks later.
Oh, cool.
You have a video coming out on it because you were there with him, right? They're going to be completely different videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because we all have our own style. now.
Yeah.
And none of us are trying to emulate each other. Just coincidence, we did it a couple weeks after you guys. But I think that's interesting when you find your voice and what works for you, what resonates. It has to resonate to you, otherwise it's not going to resonate with the
Yep.
audience.
They'll see right through it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Caleb's,
It was phenomenal.
I mean,
It was phenomenal.
I went back to the drawing board like 3 times on my video. I'm like, God dang, that is so good.
Yeah, he did a good
His
job with that.
storytelling
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's his style. It's this crazy in-depth storytelling. What would you say your style is? Or can you even define it?
I don't know if I can define would you define my style?
Well, here she is again.
Yeah, yeah.
I think your style is really about you finding, like, the essence of yourself outdoors. Like, it's anything that you get really inspired by. It's what your voiceovers end up being about,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I just don't see it the same way as you would. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And from like an editing stylistic thing, obviously a lot of it's voiceover, and I spend a lot of time writing because I don't actually speak very in a straight line, as I like to say. And so when I write it out, I can more visually see it on a page, and I'll rewrite stuff and then I'll go through and she'll
I'll holler from the other room. No.
No,
Yeah, she'll hear it too. Like, no, you got to redo that, dude. Because she's got
Katarina's the same.
she's taking writing classes, so I'll go through stuff and she'll be like, no, the way they taught us to do this, and
I have a writing.
she's very helpful. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
there's
so-
times Katarina will hear me and go, "That doesn't sound like you,"
Yeah.
but I just said it.
Yeah, right.
Like that's not your style. All right, so
Yeah.
try
Yep.
again, and just iterate until we get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, until she signs off on it.
Yeah.
Guess
Yeah.
So, so you do scripted, which is interesting. Not everybody does. How much narration do you do on the trail versus voiceover?
Very little. On the trail, I'll just talk to the camera here and there, like we're doing this, we're doing that. But honestly, I'm better at finding the story as I edit it and really see what it's about, because I don't always understand what this is going to be about. Like, we're on the trail, obviously, but then I'll think back about it, and like when I think about certain trips, I'll have certain thoughts about that trip, and I'm like, you know what I didn't appreciate about that when we were there is this, and I wish I would have thought about that while we were there. And so those thoughts start going, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk about that, and then it kind of becomes its own thing.
Do you do much story planning before the trip?
No,
It's
none.
all
all after.
based on the trip.
Yep.
It's
And
all like where we're going, what trails we're doing.
This is gonna be
It's
fun.
Nothing about the actual story.
Yeah, a lot of it's written after the fact, and for me, it's better for me to do a trip and edit it months later, because if I go on a trip, if I went on a trip last week, which we did, if I tried to edit that right away, my brain wants to tell it in chronological order exactly how everything. It wants to be like, we woke up, we did this, we did that. As when I look back at it later, I pull from those like feelings and memories of when we were there, and it makes it easier for me to make something interesting out of it. If I do it right away, it doesn't work as well for me.
It's funny because I'm the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
If I do it right away, then I have more of an emotional connection
Yeah.
to it.
Huh.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That
And
is.
Caleb, he does so much pre-planning with the
Right.
story.
Yeah, he's good about that.
So that it all comes together when he's filming.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to hear, like three
Yeah.
totally different approaches
Yeah.
to
That's
it.
cool.
So what would be your final thoughts to people that want to get into overlanding and things people need to think about before going out?
You need to think about safety first, and quality parts, I think, is a big one. A lot of people want to buy these trucks, and they want to, if they can only afford like a cheap lift or something, they'll take something that the manufacturer tested, and they just want it to look the part. Don't do that. Please don't do that. You can upgrade into worse parts in a lot of situations, and figure out what you need first and go from there. This doesn't have to be a very expensive thing. I know all of us on the channels and stuff, we make it look like that, but it's not necessary. Once you start ripping off your front bumper, then look into a front bumper, but you don't need to get that right away. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that. And I was the same way, it was just like, I want my truck to look like this. But I think the biggest thing is use your vehicle for what it's for, see what it can do first, and armor the underside. Armor the part that nobody's gonna see, because that's where the expensive stuff is, and then go from there. And just figure it out as you go. Get what you need, not what you want.
Good. And buy once, cry once.
Buy once, try once. I definitely believe in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you made that mistake a few times.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, what do you think the other mistakes people make before even just getting started in the first place? Is it overbuying? Is it over planning? Is it not planning enough?
What is the biggest mistake? I think one of the biggest mistakes when people are first getting started is overbuying, because they'll buy all the stuff, and even if they have the money to burn, that's great, but if they buy all the stuff, they may not go out as much as they think they're going to. Like, not everybody is into having the dust blow in their face all day, So really see how often you're gonna go out. And whether it's you or it's, a family member, if they go out and they're like, we're not doing this anymore, or your dog, it gets car sick, and now all of a sudden it's just like, well, how are we gonna do this? It doesn't work anymore. I think people wanna just throw the book at it, and then once they go out, it may not be for them. So I think that's the overbuying thing. I need a Jeep with these huge tires, with this and this, and then
The high lift jack and traction boards.
Yep. Right. And like, start small is the big thing. Start small, make sure that it's for you, spend the money where it counts, and also spend money making your spouse comfortable, because I promise she's tough too,
There
but
is
it does
no
help.
truer phrase than a happy wife,
Yeah,
happy life.
it's true. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
so what are the considerations that he's had to make for you?
The amount of warm things that we bring.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be toilet paper.
No, he's pretty good about making sure all that's there.
Yeah,
But
squared away.
I definitely need, like, Colorado gets cold at night, and I bring like parka, my layers, like wool sock. I bring the whole thing, and I don't need the parka during the hot summer day. Sometimes it gets up to 80. You know, It's only at night when it reaches all the way down to 40 to 30s that I need that parka. So it's creating room for me to have like all my big puffy warm things. That's probably...
They're always going to be cold.
I think Colorado is a great example because things change. Your plans change along the way. And we just went up, I told you we went to Pomeroy Lake. We weren't planning on camping at Pomeroy Lake. We were planning on camping at 10,000 feet. We end up camping at 12,100.
Oh, man.
And all of a sudden,
freezing.
Guess what? At
It's a
night,
different thing up there.
way colder than we expected. You know,
Yeah.
we woke up, everything was frozen. Well, we were kind of frozen too. We didn't plan for it. Otherwise, I would have taken a diesel heater or something. But those things change to have the plans to have, okay, we're going in the mountains. My wife is always like, did we take the jackets?
Yeah.
Like, it's 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yep. Gotta have that backup kit.
Yeah. I don't go anywhere without warm clothes. I have warm clothes here.
And we need them. It was 40 degrees the other morning in Arkansas when we woke up. It was like Colorado. I was like, what is going on?
well, you've been on a longer trip.
We've
You
been
didn't
on a
come
long trip.
straight here.
Yeah, right.
So, how was that trip?
It was fun.
Yeah, it was
wasn't nearly long enough, but I could say that about almost all our trips.
Yeah, it wasn't like our last Arkansas trip was. This is the first real off-roading we've done in this thing, so we didn't go too crazy. We're saving that for the white rim. Yeah.
Well, White Rim's not that crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun. But yeah, that last Arkansas trip in the FJ, man, going through that water and everything, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, that turned into a fun video.
Yeah.
So did you do the same thing or you did something completely different?
We did a lot of the same stuff. We're just,
No, we did a lot of different stuff, actually. We went to the same places, but did different things there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at the campsites we did. But we literally redid some of the trails.
Yeah, but they were dry. So then I would also categorize it as totally different.
Completely different conditions. Yeah.
Completely different.
Something to always take note of, trails change.
Yep.
They're always different. We
Yep.
see that a ton in Colorado. We have like 3 distinct seasons on the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go one time, it's dry. Another time, it's impassable.
Yep,
You know?
absolutely.
And it can be weeks apart.
Yeah.
Well, thanks you guys so much.
Of course,
for
man.
joining
Thanks
me.
for sitting down with
Really
us.
Appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We got a lot of cool information from you.
Yeah.
Where all can they find you?
Independence Overland on YouTube and Independence Overland on Instagram. And then what are your social media channels?
Yeah, spit it out.
The photos.
Well, my personal one's Natalia Kills, and you can just find all the other ones right on there.
Yeah, they're all listed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yep.